Hey friends, welcome back to the Sincerely Emma podcast. Today I want to discuss the saying, good grief. I think that when people think of the word grief, they think of the loss of something, like the death of a loved one, the loss of a job, all those things. And we often think of it in such a negative way. I think that we as people, we tend to play mind games with ourselves. Like we say, I lost this job because I didn't do this. Or, if I had been more present in this person's life, they would still be here. Well, I acknowledge that grief and loss and sadness and depression and anger is a difficult thing. And I realize that, it's not healthy for people to not, sit in the grief or sadness for a little while and, acknowledge what they're feeling. I just want to encourage anyone listening to try to turn that narrative around a little bit. By thinking of all the positive things that can come out of a difficult situation, I feel like it's a lot easier to focus on the positive things rather than, thinking, I can't believe this happened to me. Why did this have to happen to me? The truth is, there's a life lesson to be learned in every single thing that happens to any of us in life. We don't always know the lesson right away. Sometimes it can take years to discover what we're trying to be taught. Whether it's a good or bad lesson. And here's the thing, guys. If it ends up being a quote-unquote bad lesson, because I truly don't believe that there's any bad lessons to be learned in life, only teachable moments. You will be okay, and your storm will soon pass. Take me, for example, okay? For the longest time, the only job that I could ever envision myself having was to be a preschool teacher. That is, of course, when people in my life started to bring up very valid concerns. Things like, if I if I was ever left in a room alone with a kid and they started to choke, it's not like I can do the Heimlich very easily. It was a hard realization to have. But I eventually came to the realization that my job would have to be behind a computer screen. Knowing this, I decided to try going to work in my dad's office. I found little to no enjoyment doing that. Fast forward almost 3 years. I've yet to go back. That didn't necessarily light a fire under me. To be quite honest, up until recently, I wasn't so sure that anything would. I've always known that God has a bigger plan for me other than just volunteering somewhere. But obviously, because of my disability, my job options are limited. I feel like I experienced this stage of grief that no one talks about when you have a disability. I was stuck in this very strange place of knowing that I was capable of doing more with my life and wanting to do more, but also recognizing my own limitations. Also, I feel like I should just say that I know that post-COVID, most places now offer some form of a remote option. I realized that it's become the norm these days. Remember, I'm speaking from my own personal experience. Now I look back on that time in my life, and I can genuinely say that I'm grateful that I've had so much time to sit and think about what I want to do. Because without it, I definitely don't think I would have started this podcast. Which I'm just gonna be very honest with you guys. This podcast is genuinely the most fulfilled I've felt in a while. So if you take anything away from my podcast episode today, I would hope it would be this. Beauty can be found in every situation if you just look for it. This life wasn't meant to be easy. But sometimes after a huge rainstorm, you can go outside and find a big rainbow. Rainbows are usually a sign of something good coming. They symbolize beauty after storms. So if you're still waiting to see your rainbow, I can promise you it's there. It just may be hiding behind a cloud. Thank you all so much for listening today. Until next time, sincerely, Emma.